Estrelato children, I don't know, collection, and she doesn't have him as a teacher, but she always comes home and is like, Mr. Eggart just pulled me aside today, it kind of hurt, and he always calls me Briana, and I think I'm pretty sure he does it on purpose, she gets that a lot, it's okay. But it's really cool to know that he knows us personally and that he remembers us by name and as a personality, because he can see that my sister is just a total mixture of me and my brother and recognizes that. So I just want to say thank you for the impact that you had on our math skills, but also on our lives.
Student that we are very blessed to have with us. This is Rachel Mueller, and she's a former student of Mr. Eggart who's getting ready to be married to this handsome gentleman here that I told him earlier, said you take good care of her. There are a lot of you that hunt you down. So she's a pretty special gal. But she recently finished her student teaching and has been substitute teaching and is expected to start her first teaching job in the Cheney Public Schools. And she had Rachel and Mr. Eggart as a math teacher from 2004 to 2005. So Rachel, please.
I'm just going to share a few personal stories about Mr. Eggart. So I met John Eggart at the end of my 6th grade year when we were in the bomb shelter back in the day. And it was field day, and I remember that day because it rained, and we were all super bummed because we had to be in the gym. But the school rented a bunch of really neat blow-up toys, equipment, and so I was super into basketball, and so I was over playing basketball, the shootout. And I remember this guy coming up to me and saying, just like picking on me and kind of like giving me a hard time about being a girl, like playing basketball, like you need to be getting those guys out and all this stuff. And then I ended up staying there and just kept playing the entire time. And so he kind of took the smack talk off of me and started putting it on everybody else. And so that was my first impression of him, was this weird guy coming up and not yelling at me, but just being pretty encouraging in an aggressive way. And then the next day he found me in school and brought me this little pamphlet, as Briana was talking about, for an elevation camp. And he said, you gotta get signed up today, you gotta go, this place is great, you gotta go. So I remember going and just being in awe of his passion for the Lord and his passion for kids, and not knowing him super well, but then the following year being able to be in his class along with Grantham and Mrs. McBride, and being a Falcon and being super proud of that. And in class, I just know that you would walk in there and you never knew what was going to happen in class. Between the bickering with Grantham with the movable wall and people coming in and shouting things, and you never knew what was happening. And I think when I had Mason, we played a prank on Eggart, and then somebody had me, or called my cell phone in the middle of class, and this was when cell phones was like, you can't have cell phones in class. And so I was just playing pranks on each other and having a good time. And so then later on in college, I had the privilege of meeting a lovely young lady, and I later found out that this was his niece. And she's become one of my near and dear friends, and she's actually going to be in my wedding this summer. And so it's just been really neat to see like how the Lord has just planned everything out and kind of brought it back full circle. And I'm just really blessed to have him as a teacher and as a person in my life, and to have that strong Christian role model when I didn't have one. And I'm just really happy for you, and you deserve all this. So thank you.
Couple of things, Rachel. First of all, thank you for the free pizza at the field house during a Cougar football game. Thank you. Yeah. And also, Rachel, I don't know if you know this, but Mr. Eggart, I don't know, we were talking, he goes, house. Man, there is this girl. Her basketball skills are amazing. This girl is just a fantastic athlete, a fantastic basketball player. And I think it was free throws.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
kicking the boys' butt.
Yeah.
Giving the boys
Yeah, oh man, you were just like, sorry, Brian. Boy, I gotta go watch this kid. I mean, he just, talk. Speaking of talk. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, we will do that. I have the privilege and honor of introducing another one of our former students. And this young lady, Tate Draper, Tate's currently a student here at in Don's class. She had them both in 7th grade and 8th grade. She's going to share her thoughts about Mr. Eggart as she ends her middle school math experience. This is kind of, I think you're going to talk about what happened this year. This is kind of cool. This is really cool. Although, you know, everything about you is cool.
Is this so first, Mr. Eggart, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done, not only for me, but for every student and adult that's had the privilege of knowing you or having you. You have helped everyone in this room in some way, whether you know it or not, and I know that everyone here is so thankful for what you've done for them, but what you did for me was just amazing. When I went to Arizona for 2 months, you went out of your way every single day during school and put aside your time to send me an assignment or help me with something I was stuck on. And the even cooler thing was when I first told you I was going to leave for 2 months, you volunteered to do it. I don't know if you remember, but I came into your class and told you, and you said, well, I'll just have to get your email or phone number, and I can send you assignments and pictures of what we're doing. And even though I love all my teachers, and I'm so thankful for all of them, none of them volunteered to do that, but you did. And on top of all the extra stuff you do for all of your classes, each day, especially for my algebra class, you still managed to do that for me, and I will forever be thankful for that. I'm so lucky to have had the chance to have had you for 2 years in a row. Coming in as a 7th grader, I was scared to death of you because I had heard all you did was yell at everyone, a lot. It didn't take long for me to realize you only yelled if we gave you the reason to. And I remember after that first week of school, I had so much respect for you, and I knew that you were going to be the best teacher I ever had for a lot of reasons, and every day you proved that to me. When I look back on 8th grade in 30 years, sadly enough, I'm probably not gonna remember how to find x in a huge equation, but I will remember you and how great of a teacher you were, and not just because of your amazing teaching ability, but also because of how funny you were and how much every kid respected you and how much you respected every kid and how humble you were. I just hope you know how much of a great impact you made on my life and how much I look up to you. But most important, I hope you know you will never be forgotten. Thank you, Mr. Eggart. We'll miss you.
This is out. Did she say humble? The next person I want to introduce, and he's been with us for a short period of time, but he really had a great impact on both of us, actually, and this school. And I'd like to introduce Adam Swinyer. He's our former assistant principal, and he worked for Don for several years, and this included the period of time when the 2 middle school buildings were constructed. Our loss is Sacagawea Middle School's gain. Still pissed at you. Mr. Eggart, he is currently the principal at Sacagawea Middle School in Spokane Public School District. Adam?
Well, I've had the unique privilege of serving both Dawn and Sue, and they have incredibly impacted my life, both personally and professionally. You know, it's one thing to live a life of individual success and accolades. We see that celebrated everywhere you go in society. It's all about the individual. However, there's no parallel to someone whose action in life brings out the greatness in others. And I can't think of anyone, Dawn, that exemplifies that more than you. You truly bring out the best in others. And in thinking about Dawn's legacy, a few things came to mind. The first is Dawn got unprecedented results in the classroom. Dawn's intellect and passion created an environment where students achieved incredible growth in math. Regardless of background or ability level, Dawn's students year after year performed at a high level and developed confidence in their abilities. Dawn championed the concept of high expectations and high support, and as I've already heard and you've all heard, he doesn't accept anything less than your best every single day. So one of my jobs when I first got to Cheney was to pull together all the math data. So those of you that are still students or have been students recently, you know what the word math means. And so for those of you who don't, we would expect that kids score about 5 or 7 points would be improvement through the year. So I'm working one night, I'm brand new administrator at Cheney, and I'm trying to pull this data together, and I think I'm pretty good at data, and the numbers aren't coming out right, and they're not coming out right, and they're not coming out right, and it's getting later, and they just don't look right, and I'm thinking about start ridiculing me the next day, I'm not able to pull some numbers. Finally, I just give up, and I go in to start the next day, and I don't know, this Don Eggart guy can't get his data, there must be something wrong. Because almost all of his kids had 15, 20, 25% growth. That's way more than what we'd expect. And Stark looked at me and shook his head and he said, nope, that's Don Eggart. That's year after year. Incredible, incredible ability to get kids to learn in math. And I didn't fully understand it until I was doing discipline and I had this kid coming in every period. This kid showing up in the office, blowing up the classrooms. And I'm trying to figure out, how to help him be successful. And a few days go by, and I realize that he never shows up 6th period. I'm like, maybe he's taken off, right? And so I look up in the computer and see where he's at, and he's in Eggart's class. And I go in there, and his head's down, his pencil's smoking, and he's working his butt off. And Eggart asks him a question, his head pops up, gives an answer that I didn't even know. Truly incredible that all kids are more successful in your class. Not just some kids, but all kids. The next thing that comes to mind with Don is his commitment to excellence. Don approached every situation with incredible attention to detail, thoughtful planning, and a devotion to the highest quality product. Don's just got an amazing ability to anticipate all different perspectives, see lots of possibilities, and have a clear vision for the final product. And so a lot of you, I'm sure, have participated in the fund run. And that's something that Don created a few years back. And Joan. So we got both the architects of the fund run. And that fund run, and some of you may not know, that fund run is done throughout Eastern Washington now. And so Don is touching not just lives in Cheney, but literally tens of thousands of dollars are being raised every year for students because of Don's vision and ability to plan to detail. This building that we're in right now is a testament to Don's vision and his ability to see details. As a member of the design task force team, Don put hours and hours in. Every nook and cranny, every turn, every angle, every piece of technology has his fingerprint. The next, and I've heard it already, his love for kids. You don't have to be around Don very long to see how much he loves students and how much they loved him. His joy in daily interactions, lighthearted joking, compassionate listening, and desire to see students succeed reflected a loving and tender heart. So, one of my first weeks in Cheney, I hear some loud commotion in the Falcon Wing, which I came to be very accustomed to. And I go into this classroom, and there's a teacher in there, and he's just lighting the kid up. I mean, he's giving it to him, and he's pointing at him, and his face is red, and he's giving the kid the business. And I see a lot of heads nodding out there right now. And I thought, oh my gosh, this guy's gonna get fired. And so I run down to Mike Stark, and I'm like, there's a teacher, and he's coming unglued on a kid. What are we gonna do about it? And Stark looked up and said, well, wait till Grantham loses his temper. The most amazing thing about that story is later that day, Don was walking down the hall with his arms around that kid. And you could see the love and affection that was mutual. And that's the way Don came out to work. And I've already heard, the passion that he shares, but all that passion comes from the foundation of a relationship and love. And lastly, Don's a man of faith. We've heard that. Don's faith in God and the conviction to do his will epitomize the guy we know and love. He's been a good and faithful servant, as his modeling of values and determination to find God's path to represent his most enduring gift to our lives. So, unprecedented results in the classroom, commitment to excellence, love for kids, a man of faith, those are the characteristics of your legacy, which will define your impact on the teen community for years to come. Don, we're all truly blessed to have been touched by your service. You truly brought out the best of us. You showed us what could be possible. You filled us with hope. You enabled us to see the way forward. And although you are now stepping away, your greatness lives on in what you have helped us all become. Good job, good and faithful servant. Amen.
Before Mr. Grant and I have a couple closing remarks here, he is going to introduce someone who's done a short little clip for Coach Eggart again, so he knows this young man and get it started.
It's amazing to us, Don, in terms of, my mom and dad had you. We've heard that for years and years and years. What about grandparents? Have you heard that? Because I have. Really? We had this young man's dad. This young man is 8th grader? Yeah, JT. JT Gasper, and he put together a video clip that is titled Eggart is Sold. Hey, I didn't come up with that. So if we can go ahead and roll it. Thank you, JT.
Let me tell you about my future retirement. Do you want to know why retirees smile all the time? Because they can't hear a word you're saying. I've learned that you need to be nice to your kids. The reason is, they're going to be choosing your nursing home. So I've been studying retirees to learn how to become one. And I've noticed that people seem to read the Bible a whole lot more as they get older. And then it dawned on me. They're cramming for their finals. I've always wondered how you know you're old enough to retire. Instead of lying about your age, you start bragging about it. To start using my free time as a retiree, I have come up with a perfect definition of retirement. Retirement. Goodbye tension, hello pension. When I'm in retirement, I plan for people to visit me during lunch. And in that lunch, they're going to ask me, what do you call a long lunch? My response will be, normal. So I was at the doctor's office for my yearly memory test, and I was there with Teresa and Caleb. It's a miracle I remember the appointment. Well, the doctor began with the test with Teresa. He asked her, what's 5 times 5? She replies, 191. The doctor rolls his eyes and looks up at the ceiling. Then he goes on to Caleb, and he asks him, what's 5 times 5? Caleb replies, Wednesday. The doctor shakes his head sadly and turns towards me. He asks me the same question, what's 5 times 5? I say, 25. And he's like, oh, how did you find that answer? It's the right one. And I said, easy, you just subtract 191 from Wednesday. The best part about teachers is they never doubt, they just grade away.
JT, if you stand up. Thank you, JT. Give him a round of applause. Okay, you guys gotta come back up here. Here, let me help.
This time, we'll just ask Don and Sue if they can come up. We'll kind of have a couple closing remarks here.
Don't worry, Dawn. Nothing's gonna happen.
I won't talk quite as long as Mr. Grantham over there, but we're in the gym, so we kind of get things moving. But I would like to say, is Sean still here? You remember this story exceptionally well. I kind of forgot that we faked it out and we tried to stall and not have to do it. The kids made us come out. But I also wanted to share that our son Eric is the one who introduced us to Mr. Eggart here. He is a new teacher. He came home one day and he said, "Mom, we have an awesome math teacher. I think he's going to like math." But he said, "You two have so much in common. I think you'll be good friends if you get to know each other." And that's when high school was in the 7th grade. And so since that time, I just wanted to share that we have done elevation together. He was a young life advisor for our boys. At times we went back and forth in different homes. We also team taught in the gym. We worked in natural helpers together. And if some of you can imagine this in the old school, we had 90 kids at one time for a number of years, just the two of us that we supervised overnight. These were kids that were identified by their peers. And the one story I tell you there is had to do with we lost somebody and we were really worried. We kind of said a little prayer because we played sardines. All the lights are out in the school. We told every teacher we're going to be there, so if you don't want us in the room, keep your door locked. And the idea of the sardine is you go, everybody hides, and then one person goes to find somebody. And if you find them, then you stay with them until you get a big pile of bodies. And we found everybody but my son and Mark Dersham. And if you can remember the old gym, they had pulled out underneath the stage those drawers that later on we put rollerblades in, and they were in there and they had pop and brownies and chips, and they never intended to come and find us. And we finally thought, okay, we've lost kids, we have to call their mom and dad, no, it's my son. But anyway, we found them, and we always remember that story very well. But also as dear friends, they followed Eric, he played ball at the University of Idaho. We followed Brandon when he was up at Montana State, and Brian, and you guys followed Vayner. So as my sons who are not here to say too, that this gentleman was also one of his foremost role models as what a husband and a father should be to lead their family with their faith. So he's a pretty special guy. Now I know Brandon's going to be a little emotional, so mine is not emotional because it's just going to zip right along. Okay, so I made you a poem, right? It's retirement time and we are so happy for Don. It's really time for him to leave before his entire mind is gone. He has taught through generations of parents, sisters, and brothers. Now it's time to rest as new teachers lead the others. He was a creator, a facilitator, and we all followed his lead. He was a planner, communicator, and on his path he planted plenty of seeds. We knew he could be opinionated, determined and stubborn as well, and he would talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but we still believed he was swell. Coach Eggart was known for his talent in math, it's true, but here are some more things he was famous for too. The two of us planned and schemed the fun run, not knowing where it might end, but it became so successful and helped CMS activities with more dollars to spend. We bonded in natural helpers with overnight programs, spring, winter, and fall. We did adventure dynamics, assemblies, and skits, and we always had a ball. Our teapot debut was legendary with memories we're keeping, and some of you might remember this. He even agreed to dress up for the 12 days of Christmas if he could be one of the Lords of Leaping. Math man Eggart was on building committees for our new middle school. He helped on finance committees to make sure our schools were cool. He loved his new smartboard and taught students and teachers alike. And also our PE friend helped us get rollerblades, and he was never ever shy on the mic. Coach Eggart also coached at CJHS and CHS as he loved football, baseball, and basketball so much. His teams are always successful as he added the little extra special touch. But as we all know, and here's the best part, his first priority was kids, as there was love for all in his heart. He is my brother, my true friend, and we are all blessed from above that our paths crossed in our life's journey to come to know his love. So congratulations and best wishes. We all say cheers. And we also know that all of us here will stay connected forever through the years. Love you, dear.
Connie wrote my speech. We would be here until... Okay, well, I'm going to tell this story because just Mrs. McBride. When Mrs. McBride was in high school, she was a senior, and Mrs. McBride, first of all, Mrs. McBride was Google before there was Google. She was my Google. Mrs. McBride is an extremely intelligent person. So she was sharing with us a time that she had a project with another student who kind of bailed a little bit on her. And Mrs. McBride grew up in the Willamette Valley, so she had a project. And the project was to do some research on the history of the Soviet Union's educational system. So Mrs. McBride went to Corvallis, the Oregon State University's library, and did research. She went to the University of Oregon in Eugene's library and did research. And Mrs. McBride had, I think there were 5 by 7 or 8, 5 by 7, 100? 105. 105 5 by 7 note cards on the Soviet education system. And no, we're not kidding. And so she was presenting this to class. Now I want you to imagine, just imagine, after the first 5 minutes of this presentation. Whoa. Okay, you get the idea. No, it lasted actually the entire hour on Monday. Her partner presented her portion, and it was about, what, 10 minutes? 15 minutes. So on Monday, Mrs. McBride was through, what would you say, about 20? Yeah, and on Tuesday, she was at card 40. On Wednesday, she was at card 60. On Thursday, she was in card 5 straight days of lecture on the Soviet education system. I object.
Here's what's said.
That's how you do it, Don.
U.S. education system.
I'm sorry.
The lady, the girl with the 15-minute report was on the U.S. education system.
Oh, I stand corrected. Anyway, a couple of things I'd just like to remember our past and outside of school, and a couple of fun things that I remember doing with the Eggart family. And probably my favorite, Brandon, where are you? Brian, where are you? So Brian Eggart, Brandon Eggart, Don Eggart, and Sue Eggart were invited to go with the Granthams, Katie Grantham, Emily Grantham, Bill Grantham, and Sue Grantham, to the 1992 Apple Cup in Pullman. For those of you that know or don't know, that's the infamous snowball. Drew Bledsoe. And it was miserable. It was miserable. And Sue was extremely cold and not having a good time because the Cougars were killing them. Brandon was not having a good time either. Brian, I think you had a good time. It was pretty warm actually, Brian. But that was a good time that we all had. I just had to get that in. Hey, a couple of things. First of all, Don and I got off on the wrong foot. When we first met, and I call this unwelcome to Cheney Junior High. And I've been here for a couple of years, and I'm in my classroom at old junior high, and I think it was Mr. Van Karen. Mr. Van Karen was walking the new high school teacher, middle school teacher, high school coach, girls basketball, showing him around the building. And he came in, and I was on my planning period, and he came in and he said, Mr. Grantham, I'd like to introduce to you Don Eggart. And he said, Mr. Van Karen, before I stood up, before I went to shake his hand, before I went to welcome him unwelcomely, Mr. Van Karen said, he'll be sharing your room. And I said, you'll be what? And so I made a great impression on you, didn't I, Mr. Eggart? We didn't get off to the best because I was being selfish and self-centered. I think it's very important, all of you, to know that Don has not only impacted kids, and we hear about his passion and how he's impacted kids, and he has. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But he's also had an impact on adults. And this adult in particular, I am a better man, I'm a better teacher, I'm a better father, I'm a better grandparent, I'm a better person because of Don Eggart. And one of the things that nobody wanted to disappoint Mr. Eggart. Never. I think that's why. Mr. Eggart, he got the best out of everybody because they knew he had invested their time, his effort, and his energy. And if you don't believe him, he'd tell you. You did not want to disappoint him. Kids didn't want to disappoint him. Either did adults. A couple of years ago, I was driving on State Road 904, right by the rodeo grounds. It was about 3:45, heavy traffic. With me was a young teacher who's here, Melissa Earl, and it suddenly hit me. Son of a stinking husky! I forgot Mr. Eggart. Not wanting to disappoint him, I pulled a U-turn on State Road 904 in front of the rodeo grounds in heavy traffic, nearly killing myself and my passenger. But we made it. I personally was not about to disappoint Don Eggart. Students gave their all to Don because they didn't want to disappoint you. Because, as everybody said, they knew you cared. And it was all that relationship. Little quick story, I'm a regular blood donor. And on one occasion, the nurse discovered I had an irregular heartbeat. I was told to go see my doctor. Needless to say, I and my colleagues were deeply concerned. A few days later, I saw my doctor and he gave me the all clear sign. Something about an irregular heartbeat. The next morning, we were in the old junior high in the Green Commons area. Teachers and students were gathering. I declared, I'm normal. Without skipping a heartbeat, Mr. Eggart shouted, I demand a second opinion. So all of you that, this compassion stuff, hey. In education, we love to use acronyms. WASL, the Washington, you gotta follow along with me here. The Washington Assessment of Student Learning, WASL. We call that the WASL. Prior to that, and some of you will know this and some of you won't, were the SLOs, the Student Learning Objectives, SLO. Now there's TPEP, which stands for, who does? TPEP, help.
Teacher Principal Evaluation.
Wait, Mr. Dotson?
Teacher Principal Evaluation was pilot, now they call it project, I guess.
Teacher Evaluation.
Teacher Principal Evaluation Project.
Teacher Principal Evaluation Program, TPEP. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Since 1996, the Falcon Corps has we held our annual Falcon Olympics at the end of the year. By the way, we had 7th graders who attended Falcon Olympics at the end of the year, and the first day of 8th grade would come to us and say, Winter Falcon Olympics, can I sign up? And I want to say something about the detail of this guy. Don crossed every T and dotted every I. It drove everybody crazy. But man, things ran smooth as silk. Falcon Olympics, if you don't know, we had 150 kids out there. We had 8 events, and they just moved through it, and it was so smooth, and the scoring was just incredible, and all of the preparations was unbelievable. And it's because you're a detailed man. And man, you agonized over things, but man, anything you touched was like Midas. So anyway, the Falcon Corps held our annual Falcon Olympics, and at the end of the year, but after the games one particular year, scores were tabulated. The Corps gathered to honor the individual and team medal winners. We had a big ceremony, and it was a lot of fun. Don had the 8th graders all tabulating scores. It was amazing. But during the ceremony, a question arose over the official scoring at an event. Well, you're all familiar within the Olympics, say for example, the IOC, which stands for the International Olympic Committee. And so, what? I didn't do this. No, I'm not. But like the USOC stands for the United States Olympic Committee, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. So these are the Falcon Olympics. I said that I was going to grieve the issue. I said this in front of all the Falcons. I was going to grieve the issue to the, now stay with me, the International Falcon Olympic Committee. WASL, Washington Assessment of Student Learning. So, Mr. Eggart decided to challenge my grievance. And he said, oh, you mean? But like a teacher does, he used the acronym for the organization known as the International Falcon Olympic Committee. I will only say, think about it. Snickers, shock, and uproarious laughter ensued. Oh my God. During my tenure, the Falcon Corps created many special events. One of those was our academic evening presenting Everything Africa. That year, the PE department had purchased a new sound system with mics. Mr. Lemke tutored us about the use of the system. One thing he stressed was to use our regular inside voices. Huh? Inside voices? Plural voices. Plural voices. Mr. Eggart and Mr. Grantham mic'd up. Just imagine that, if you will. Both of us like to talk, and both of us like to try to one-up each other. Take a moment, let that scenario sink in. In the gym, there's all these great African things going on, all these parents all around, and Mr. Eggart and Mr. Grantham are mic'd up. After the power to our mics was shut down, the night was a smashing success. Well, teaching a unit on mean, median, and mode, I don't do that, Mr. Eggart does. Mr. Eggart would tell the kids, see, all of you have heard all this wonderful stuff about this guy. You know, when we're sitting there taking it hook, line, and sinker, well, this guy's awesome. Yeah, you don't know the truth, Mr. Eggart. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Mr. Eggart would tell the kids to come to me holding up their hand like this and ask me, Mr. Grandpa, which is the median finger? Yeah, well, by the way, the kids loved that opportunity, and they took advantage of it often. If I had a kid act up in my classroom, I would use the threat of sending them to Mr. Eggart's class. Without hesitation, they'd say, "Great! Can I go now?" True story. And even if they had math already, and I was thinking, I want to believe, I really truly do, that it was not a slam towards me, but a statement about the love and the respect that they have for you. Oh, did I say I'll be brief? I'm sorry, I'm doing an imitation of Don Eggart. During the CMS-WMS football game at Roos Field, which was very, very cool, that night under the lights, playing on the turf, Don did the play-by-play. I kept the stats so he could relay them to the crowd. On one particular play, it was kind of near midfield, I told Don that the play gained 27 yards. He announced the ball carrier, the down, and the gain of 27 yards. Being the math guy, oh my God, that's another one of those 10 quotes. I'm the math guy. Being the math guy, he immediately knew it was a gain of 17 yards and not 27. He could have left it there, but he didn't. Again, this caring, loving, compassionate man that all you people said these glowing things about. Hogwash. Don announced, I have a correction to make to the thousands of people that were gathered at the game. The last play was a gain of 17 yards, not 27. Now we know why my statistician, Mr. Grantham, teaches social studies. Thanks for throwing me under the bus. Mr. Eggart, everything everybody has said is spot on. You're a remarkable man. You're a man of faith. You're a wonderful husband to a beautiful, intelligent woman. You're the father of 2 awesome sons. Brandon, we're sitting at Montana State at a game. It's cold. It's really cold. It wasn't as cold as the Apple Cup, though. Nothing. Oh, don't roll your eyes. And it's really cold. But anyway, I don't know what happened. But first of all, that was very fun. And your dad, though, I mean, it's just his gut. The love that your dad has for both of you young men is incredible. And it was just kind of like, oh, Brandon, please don't screw up. You know, and then one of my favorites was it at NYU? NAU. Brandon recovered a fumble and rumbled. Didn't you score, Brandon? Did you score? Where are you, Brandon? You did score. I have seen that video 1,364,000 times. Okay? Such a proud dad. And Brian, what can I say? I mean, your dad talked about you all the time, and your mom, and you guys are just wonderful. And then Macy and Micah, I've heard so much about, and the wonderful wife, Jamie, and the soon-to-be wife, Julie, and you guys are a remarkable, remarkable family. And Don,